So we finished with list. We introduced what is list, and now we'll talk about dictionaries. So what are dictionaries and how is Erlang handles dictionaries? So basically these dictionaries are also called as data structures, and it provides a mapping between keys and values. So that is why in this bracket you can see that we have key and a value that is mapped to it, and this is all enclosed in curly brackets, finally enclosed in a square bracket. Okay, and like list, they are another way of storing variable amount of information, but they differ in that you can retrieve random elements in constant time. So if the retrieval speed is more important than insertion speed and your program needs random access, then you should consider using dictionaries. I'll repeat what I said. Retrieval speed is more important than the insertion speed. You want to insert some element or you want to access back certain element. So if retrieval speed you want more than the insertion speed, and you want to search for elements in a random fashion, then you should use dictionaries. Like just like our the human language dictionary that we have, you can use a dictionary to store information that can be looked up by some name. That is why we have this key and a value pair. And another use is to replace the arrays that will only be partially full, and that is why they are called as sparse array. Partially full arrays are called as sparse arrays. If the array is completely full, it is called as a dense array. Okay, so with a dictionary using the index as a key. So generally these dictionaries make use of a index, which is the key, and this key allows you to store the array in less memory than otherwise. If you use some other data structure, it would require more memory. So and all the dictionary functionality resides in the DICT module. So there is a module called as, here it is specified, DICT module, right? So you have to use the keyword DICT in order to create a new dictionary. So if I say DICT colon new, then it's going to create a new dictionary. So this this is how Erlang makes use of dictionaries internally. So it is basically a nested tuple and list. If you see this, it's a tuple, right? So it's a nested tuple or a list, you can say. And you can specifically mention the set of key and value pair by giving, you can define a function also for this. But now we'll just define how this is done, and just give it 2 minutes. Okay, so yeah, so I was talking about this key value pair. So this is how these are some examples where we can make use of dictionaries. So insert, delete, member, some functions written here. So we'll do this when we are doing the hands-on. So this is how dictionaries are made use of. And you can also add entries to the dictionary using some function called as a store function. Okay, store takes a key, that is the new value, and the dictionary, hello, स्टार्ट नाही होते, एकच मिनिट, माझं लेक्चर चालू आहे.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Yeah, I had some other problem. There was a exam going on, so I just shifted there. Yeah, I'll continue. Okay, so we finished with dictionaries, and now we'll continue with what are constructs. So there are different types of constructs in. So I hope you've understood this dictionary term. We'll do the programming part, so it will be more clearer when we do some practical on this. So just remember that dictionary is nothing but it is a key value mapping. Okay. So let's talk about the if construct. So we know what is an if construct. So generally we are using if statement in all languages, all programming languages. So in this also we can have this type of a statement where we start with an if keyword, and given you have to give the condition followed by an expression. So if condition followed by another expression. So this is or, and if it is true then some expression to true. So if and in between you have condition and expression. So you can't just write like only one condition and then an expression, but you can give multiple conditions, you can give multiple expressions. So this is what is meant here. Conditions may be different and not related to the same variables. However, conditions can use only variables and Boolean expressions but not function invocation. So condition cannot invoke another function, or it cannot call another function, right? So it has to be some mathematical condition followed by some expression. So this is the if construct. So this is one example of a function. Usually when we write functions in Erlang, it is written as module, and now this is one function name which is given as dictionary, and this export is another keyword which you need to use, which mentions all the function names here, and slash will mention whatever is the number after the slash is the parameters, or is the number of arguments that function will take. Okay, so when it is a zero argument, it means that this function does not have any argument, and we are just saying it as an empty list. Similarly, you have another functions. Now if you look at this function, member function, it has 1 and 2. So these are the two parameters that this function takes, and there is some evaluation or some uh, whatever the function performs. So this is written after the expression, and then you have this again two parameters it is taking. This is also taking two parameters. So this is one parameter followed by comma, and this is the second one. So member function takes two parameters. Now let's talk about this insert function. Insert function should have three parameters. So 1, 2 and 3. So first is the dictionary, second is key, and third is the value. So this is the same. There is these are some programming lines which are written, and this is how it executes. So this is basically demonstrating the if and end statement. So whatever we saw in this if, condition, expression and end. So if now this is some condition m equal to, now it is checking whether it is the key exists. Okay, so m is dictionary. If it is true, then the key does not exist, and this is what it returns. So this is some programming constructs that follow after the if keyword and between the end statement. So there is a case construct also. Now just as the if statement here, uh, so this is quite different from the other languages. Like if you look at the structure of the if statement here, it has the condition part on the left hand side followed by the expression part. But whereas in the case, like if you look at the case, it has the semantics and the syntactical construction quite similar to that of imperative languages. Imperative languages is the general traditional languages which we use. So if you look at the if you compare the case statement with the C language, if you're familiar with the C language, you know what are the switch statement that you write in case of C language. So it is switch, and you switch on some condition. So case expression of and value expression, value to expression. So this is generally we know what is the case statement. So conditions may be different and not related to the same variable. So these variables may be different or may be same. It is more like the case statement. So when there is a choice, when like you have to select between multiple choices, then you need to make use of the case statement. So it is the same example. Now instead of if, so in this we had used an if statement. Now we are trying to use a case statement. Case member dictionary key of, and then this is the true if this is the thing, false if this is the thing. So this is one keyword and this is another one. So this is going to be executed for this clause and this is going to be executed for this clause. So you have to just specify the number of cases that you have. Okay. So this is one more example of dictionary where we are just having this function called as delete and find. So I'll explain this in the hands-on session. Strings, basically we talked about strings last time, right? I performed these expressions also, hands-on. So Erlang is a string which we enclose in double quotes, or you have these words like if you write these, it will retrieve back because it is storing the ASCII value. Okay, so you can also write it as $#$e because that gives you the ASCII value. So if we are saying head and tail is equal to hello, so head is going to give you 72 because it returns the ASCII value of H, and tail is will be the remaining string. So this is how the string will be evaluated. So now this is an exercise for you. Write a function split with two arguments, string and separate a character, token 1, token 2, anything, which separates a string into tokens. Suppose you give the string I am going to college. So it will separate it will separate am, going, to and college. It will give you tokens. So given a string, you have to split it and return it as a set of tokens. So can you think of writing at least the clauses, the main clauses for doing this? So I'll pause here. I want you to do this. I'll pause here for 5 minutes. You do see if you can write it. Make an attempt to write the function.
त्यांच्या परफॉर्मन्स मध्ये
Yeah, done. Anybody could write this? No answers? Nobody can do this? At least some, give me some answers. Even if it is wrong, it is fine, but at least some answers. We have seen how to write clauses in the previous lectures. For factorial, for sum of n numbers, we have written those clauses, right? So in the same manner, we need to write this. Take a string and split it. Okay, I'll do one more thing. I'll write some code for some function, and then you can give me an answer for this. Okay, so I'm writing some code in Notepad. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So basically, we know that this Erlang is a functional language, right? It is called as a functional language. So since it is a functional language, functions are the main building blocks of this particular languages, and these functions are defined within modules. So you need to know what is the module name, and we also need to know what is the function. So functions are like they are all the functions are collated together in the modules, and function and module names must be atoms. So we have seen what is atoms last time. So functions must be exported before they can be called from outside the module where they are defined. And the standard library has a lot of predefined modules. So Erlang thus provides a predefined set of modules. Example, the list modules to work with list. So we have a list module, we have a dictionary module, then we have the mathematical functions module. So there are many such modules which can be used, and the module name and the function name should be separated by a colon. So if you want to use the list module, you write it as list colon, and suppose I want to reverse the contents of the list. So I'll write this reverse and 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. So these are the contents of my list. So this is how you write the function name and the module name. So module name colon function name. So this is the function name that you write. So if you execute this, you'll get an answer for this as, okay, let me just check it on Erlang. Yeah, I'll just share one more screen. Yeah, this is visible. So I'll write the same thing which I had written. So list colon reverse, and then in bracket I'll write 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. This is giving you the reverse of the list. So this is the module name colon followed by the reverse is a built-in function which Erlang provides, right? And we also know like how to print. Like suppose I want input output for printing. So I just say format, and suppose so it prints. So IO colon. So IO is your module name colon format is the function name. So these are inbuilt function. You can also write user defined functions as well. So if you want to create your own module with some functions, then you need to write a source file that contains the function definitions which I showed you earlier. So in the similar manner, we can also continue writing the user defined functions. So for that I'll open Notepad. So I'll just remove this. These were some built-in function names. So you have to write a source file that contains function definitions, and it has an extension .erl. So once you write the Erlang program, so all your code will be written in .erl file, and you need to compile the module which will generate an executable file with the extension .beam. BEAM. So this is after compilation, and then you use the module, right? So let's try and do this. I'll just write the code for this. So this is a very basic module that we'll write. So I'll just call this as, you have to write this as dash module basic, and you write export. Now I'm writing a function called as mirror. So this is how you need to write. So you can write any, so your code will follow this. So this is just a skeleton of a function that we can write. So this is the module, and this is the export function that we are writing for this particular mirror, name of the function. The first line defines the name of the module. Okay, so I'll just write this as, this is the name of the module, and this is basically an atom, because it is all in small case. So this is an atom. The next is, the second line is going to tell Erlang that the function mirror, now this is a function which is called as mirror. This function should be visible outside of the module. Okay. Function mirror should be visible outside of the module. And it has one parameter. That is the meaning of that /1. And it has one parameter. That is why that is the meaning of /1. And the third line here defines the function mirror with one argument. Now we can see that this is a function with one argument. Mirror is a function with defines a function mirror with one argument, right? And basically that arrow symbol, this symbol separates the function head and the function body. Okay, arrow symbol separates the function head from the function body. So this is what it means. And if you have used Haskell functions, then you will understand this, like it is written in this particular style. So this is how you begin writing the function, this module. So did you understand the meaning of all these three statements? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now after you have written the function, you have to start the Erlang shell. Okay, and you have to compile this file. And I'll just write the compilation command here. So it is just C followed by basic. And when you save this file, you have to save it with the name basic.erl, right? So you save this file as basic.erl, and you have to compile it with that name itself. So you shouldn't give a different name, you should give the same name. So this is the command for compilation. Right? And then immediately after this you get a message, okay, basic. So this is how you get, if unsuccessful compilation, you'll get this message. And then this will create an executable file called as basic.b. And this executable file can be then run. Right? And now you can run the functions defined in the module like this. So this is our basic function which we had written. This is the way you compile it, and this is the message that you get. This is your executable file that is generated. and then now you want to run the function. So run the function, what you do is, so on your Erlang prompt, this is the Erlang prompt that you have, so you have to write this as, so I'm just showing it here because I have to switch between screens, so I'm just avoiding that, and then you give this. So what you have written, function name, that is basic colon followed by this, not function name, sorry, this is the module name, right? This is the module name followed by the function name, and I have to give one parameter, so I have given this as 1. So this will return some answer. Suppose this returns the answer as 1, and next time you can call it as basic mirror, and suppose now I call it with some other parameter abc dot. So this will give me the answer as abc, and suppose the third time I'll call it with a string. If I call it with a string, it will give me the answer as this. So this is the answer that you'll get. And if you try to run the function name with this way, this manner, as we usually do it for other programming languages, it will give you some exception error. So it gives you this error. Undefined shell command. So this is the error that it will give. So now this parameter that we have written here, this parameter, anything, it was bound to different types in each call. So this was the first call, this was an integer, this was the second call, it was an atom, this is the third call, which is a string. So this is an integer or a number, we can call it as, this is an atom and this is a string, right? So this parameter was changing every time we are calling the function mirror. Okay, so anything was bound to different types in each call, number, atom and string, right? And this means that Erlang uses dynamic binding or dynamic typing. You call this as dynamic binding, or for that matter, instead of binding, we'll call it as dynamic typing. So it is because it's changing the data type, right? So this is called as dynamic typing, and the function name must be qualified with the module name, otherwise you get a error. This is an error. It has to be called with the module name followed by the function name, otherwise it's going to give you an error, right? And a module can define several functions. So one module can define several functions. So some functions may be local functions which are not visible outside, and some are global. Global functions are visible outside, and some functions are only restricted within the scope of that particular module. So there are different types of functions that we can use. Now suppose I write another module here, module, and I'll call it as, so this is the module name, export, and I'll call it with one parameter. X, so I'm defining the function now. So this is a function body, double X is the function body, and suppose I just want to, like, I'm multiplying it. How many times? Double is doubling the value. I'll call the function times x comma n, x multiplied by n. So now this module defines two functions. Okay, Now I'm right here. In this module, I had just one function which was mirror. Now in this module called as double, I have two functions. One is double and one is times. Right? So double is taking one parameter and times is taking two parameters. So what is this function defined? So double can be called from outside the module. Okay, double can be called outside the module because it is specified in the module itself. But times is local to the module. Times is local to the module. This is the difference. Like how do you say that the function can be called from outside the module, or it is local to the module. So in this case, double is called from outside the module and times is local to the module. I hope these differences regarding functions is clear. But now all these functions that we have considered here, like this is the body of the function, right? Just a single statement. This is the body of the function, which is a single statement, or this is also a single statement. So like each function consisted of a single line written here. Now, in general, a function declaration consists of a sequence of function clauses which are separated by semicolons. We have seen the factorial function day before yesterday. So we had many clauses which were separated by semicolons, and then the final clause was terminated by a period, that is full stop. So how can you specify the general syntax for specifying multiple line function is like you give the name and you follow by the argument list. Now this is argument 1, argument 2, and it can have n number of argument. Suppose this is argument n, and this list is going to be followed by the guard. Like if you want to give the guard, like when certain condition. Okay, so I can specify some condition here. So when certain condition, and then you have the function body, which can be like expression 1, comma expression 2, and so on. N, and then it is a semicolon, and then you give the second function if you want. Like this is 1, I'll just copy this. This can be second, but I'll have to change the arguments here. So I'll just call it as 1a, 2a, na, and this condition also is going to change, and these expressions are going to be different. So each clause represents a different matching possibility, right? So this is one clause, and this represents a different matching possibility, and this is another clause which represents a different matching possibility, because this is based on different conditions. Both the conditions are going to be different. Clauses are separated by semicolon. The last clause, if you have one more clause, you have to put a semicolon, and if it is the last one, you have to put it. You have to give it as a period. So a function clause consists of head and a body which is separated by this arrow. This is the function clause and the body. So this is the body and this is the clause that you give, and it has to be separated by this arrow. A clause head consists of the function name. So this is the function name, argument list, guard sequence, and this guard sequence should begin with the keyword when. Okay, and a clause body consists of a sequence of expressions which are separated by comma. So this is how you write a function which is multiple line function. So for just try and understand the structure, then in the next lecture we'll be writing some functions. Now suppose I give you a simple example of multiple matching possibilities, or multiple clauses are matching. Then how do we write this? Like suppose I just erase this. Suppose I write module match function. have to write this keyword export always, okay? Otherwise your code would not run. So I give one argument here. And now I am going to use the function, and in the function call I am calling this as number 1 and so on. Number number. So how are you going to execute this? Can somebody tell me the command for execution? Compile actually, sorry. Compile and then execute.
C in bracket match fun.
So in the Erlang prompt, you have to give C and in the bracket match function. Full stop. This will, and what message it will display? Okay.
Match fun.
This is a message that it will display. And how do I give a call to the function now? Match function, if I want to call this now. This is the module name and these are the functions that I want to revoke. So how do you call this? Module name colon function name followed by the argument, full stop. So this will give you the answer as 1. Next time you want to call this colon. So this will give answer as 2. And third time if you want to call this will display the answer is 3. And if you call this with some other argument which is not defined, what will happen? I call this with 4. What will happen? What answer it will return? Gives you exception error. No function clause matching. It gives you this error. Okay. So what I want you to do is, I have given you all the commands. Try running these code, whatever code we have written, small codes that we have written. Try compiling and executing it on Erlang shell. Okay, so use any of the editors. If you're working on Linux, you can use any of the editors, Emacs or any of the editor in Linux. Write your program, store it in that particular Erlang directory and try to compile those programs. So compile these. Next time we'll write some functions in Erlang. If you have any doubts on this, you can just ask me right now.